Speed is important. If you have a website that is too slow, people will click away. This is one of the things that people use to evaluate. So you need to be going through your website and taking out pictures, which are the worst offenders typically, and replacing them with less heavyweight pictures, meaning you maybe reduce the density on JPEGs or something like that. If you make people wait even just 2 seconds, according to Microsoft research, you will lose 4.3% of your revenue. So, speed actually matters for conversion. It's actually better to have a simpler page that loads quicker than a really complex all singing, all dancing, fancy dance page. You can test your speeds using Google Page Speed. You can test it using YSlow. You can use it loads in. Just Google these words. And they will give you a list of things that you can do to your page to improve it. And if you don't do it yourself, if you're not techie-minded, you can go to a webby person and ask them to do it. Here are some stupid things you shouldn't do that put people off when you come to a website. Autoplay music or videos. This is really annoying, right? Especially if you've got 10 tabs open and one of them's playing some annoying song. Restaurant sites do this a lot. This is Guy Savoy's website. You can't really make it out having shrunk it down so much. He's completely changed the user interface for scrolling. The one thing people understand about websites is scrolling up and down and the back button, right? So if you design your website, it does nothing but scrolling up and down and the back button, you're golden. He rewrote that. 3 Michelin stars, can't design websites. Fat Duck, intro animation. You have to sit there for 2 or 3 seconds while these things beautifully appear. This is another 3-star restaurant, can't design websites. This is the French Laundry website after about 5 seconds. And I have got the fastest internet connection. I was sat there waiting. It literally took 20 seconds to load. Beautiful, beautiful website, but pointless. Okay, proofread your website. Mistakes are off-putting. They destroy credibility. Here are some examples. This wordy.com, very nice service online. You can take text to it, and they will proofread it for a modest fee and do it professionally. Trust marks, another thing you can put on your website. You can buy them, you can use various tools like Norton, you can go to, in America, the Better Business Agency. But things like an address, a phone number, somebody's face, these things also build trust and credibility. So, alliteration. People are going to judge your website in part by the words you're using for the headlines. It's the first thing they're going to see. It's the invitation to the party. So here's one thing you can do, just use alliteration. Here's another thing, a little bit of rhyme, maybe end rhyming. You can use repetition. This is from Apple, so they use breakthrough twice. They want you to know it's a breakthrough. You can use analogies. They want you to think of an iPhone as a Swiss watch, a beautifully elegant and constructed device. You can use contrast, so details and big picture, 3 million pixels but half an inch. This is kind of just neat ways of twisting things around. So, another thing that you can do is good stand firsts. Here is a stand first, right? This summary here. I highly, highly, highly recommend this website. There's some really very good advice about how people read online, how to write for websites, how to make a website more usable. And the theory of a stand first is if people don't read anything else but just that, they actually get the sense of that page. If it's not what they want, they're out of there, okay? They can quickly leave. Related content, putting in at the end of an article, an end of a piece of text, something like this, so you can send people to other pages on your site. In other words, instead of making them go after 10 seconds, you're giving them an invitation to find some more information on the page, on your website, maybe keeping them around a little bit longer, maybe helping them find the thing. Maybe they don't want a safari, maybe they want a beach holiday. You know, that's a good way of helping them navigate around the site. Okay, so you've got them to the website, and you're now trying to engage with them. So here, I find this very helpful. This is a research done by Norman Nielsen Group, Jacob Nielsen, who is a guru of usability. I once met him coming down some stairs at an event, and I was sort of like, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy. They tested this text, which is exciting Nebraska tourist attractions, right? This is the thing that you've been searching the web for all these years. This is the original text, and it does go on a little bit longer. There is more text to it. But They started off with that as a control sample. Then they made 3 interventions to it. The first thing they did was they made it concise. So they took out about 50% of the copy. Why? Because people don't read everything you put on a website. By making it shorter, they made it more easy to use, more readable. Then they made it scannable. So they took the same text, but they just put in, well, what have they done to make it scannable?
Use the list.
Yeah, so bullet list there. What else? Spacing between the paragraphs, exactly. Then they made it objective, okay? So they tried to take out some of the sales and marketing hype. So if I take you back to the original, what are the sales and marketing hype words in the original? Yeah, and?
Large crowds of people. Scenic, high-reach.
Yeah. So these are all the words that the Nebraska Tourist Office really want you to think about. You know, that's the sizzle on the sausage. This is what they want you to believe in. But actually, by taking it out, they got a 50% increase in readability, memorability, and subjective satisfaction. When they made it scannable, about the same sort of improvement. And when they made it concise, about the same. The numbers varied from each of these individual interventions. When they did all 3, scannable, objective, and concise, they got a doubling. People found it twice as memorable, twice as subjectively likable, and twice as easy to read. So that if you do nothing else with your website copy, you're going to make it concise, scannable, and objective. This is on that nngroup.com website, and you can go and research it, and all the data and analysis is up there. But if you could make your website twice as memorable, twice as engaging, twice as likable, you know, you'd like, yeah, I'll do that right now. Next thing you can do is you can use visual hierarchy to highlight the stuff that is important, right? To make it easy for the eye to go through the page. What do you think? I mean, I know why I like these two. I know why I like the Google page on the right, and this is a Microsoft competitor product on the left. What's the difference?
Too much content on the left. Too much content on the left.
Yeah, 1,200 words, 210 words. So for me, big challenge here is multiple levels of detail, right? So they've got one style, they've got another style, they've got another style, they've got another one there, they've got a slightly different one there, they've got some more there, they've got another one here. There are 7 or 8 different styles on that page, and it's overwhelming, especially when combined with the amount of text that is on that page that you have to process. Here,
I'm sure that the image as well on the left, it's those one pages you're trying to look
this one.
at all the different bits, make the whole thing look.
Yeah. And actually, to your point about the text size, the text on here is utterly unreadable. It's even on the live page, it's such a small image that you can't comprehend it. Here, they've just got little illustrations, but those are playing into the visual part of your brain and going, okay, this is probably something to do with filing, something to do with email. So it's a nice combination of the two. But it's very, very easy to scan through this and see what this is about. They've used these links actually as subheadings, and they've made it very quick. You could read the headline, you could read these links, and you've got the snapshot of the text, the snapshot of the meaning. One of the big problems that I think my clients have is they like to sound really big and clever, really self-important, and, you know, look, we are writing for the civil service, we are writing for big business, so we better put on our best voice and our best public speaking and use long words and clever words. In reality, when you do that, you make it harder for people to read, you make it less enjoyable for people to read, harder to remember. Short words are best, said Winston Churchill. And, you know, he had a Nobel Prize for Literature, apart from saving Western civilization, so he did know a thing or two about writing. Short words are best, but short words when old are best of all. And here is a nice list of long words and shorter equivalents. This is from the Plain English Society, another site very well worth going and looking up. Plain English Society. Okay, readability statistics. Right, so some of you have come across this before. Hands up if you've seen readability statistics before. Okay, only a handful. Right, so this is something that you can do. It's kind of an algorithmic proofreading for your text. And it will tell you if your text is hard to read or easy to read, what age group can read that text. So in Microsoft Word, you get it as part of the spelling and grammar check, and it's an option you have to go and actively switch on. You can come to Articulate Marketing and there's a free tool that you can just paste text in. There are other tools on the web for doing this as well. But this is a very helpful piece of feedback on the copy. Am I concise? Am I to the point? Am I writing clearly? Am I writing to a right age range for my audience? And surprisingly, if you want to write for the majority of the English population, English adult population, you need to aim at a reading age of 8. Okay, for the majority. And the interesting thing is, there's been some studies. I think Boeing did this, where they found that if you are writing for engineers and scientists, but maybe you don't write to a reading age of 8, but maybe to a reading age of 12, actually you make it more subjectively satisfying and easier to read for them as well. It takes a little bit less work to go through stuff than some of these very long, wordy and windy texts. Okay, so now you want to get people to act. They've found your site, they've evaluated your site, they've engaged with your site, hopefully you've captivated them with brilliant copywriting. So, how do you influence people? How do copywriters get people to do what they want you to do? This is Daniel Cialdini. He wrote a book called Influence, and he talked about these ways of getting people to do things. And I'm going to give you some examples on websites of using these hidden persuaders. Let's be fair. So the first one, very compelling, scarcity. You buy it in the next 21 hours. Well, that's not terribly compelling. I can wait quite a long time. But buy now, and then you get it tomorrow. But if you wait, you might get it the next day. And if you actually needed that thing right now, this is a very compelling thing. There's a thing called Shuttle, who are clients of ours. If you go to an e-commerce website, they can deliver something within 90 minutes by putting it on the back of a courier bike. If you need something in a hurry, you're prepared to pay for it. If you need something in a hurry, you might be motivated to do something quickly. Same thing with tickets here. It's interesting, I think airlines only release their stock of tickets slowly, because what they don't want to do is, we've got 180 tickets on this plane for this flight. They say we've got 10 left. And they'll say 10 left until they're down to 10. And it's the same principle. Social proof. If you can show that other people are doing it, your reader is more likely to do it. Here is an example from a website. I quite like the specificity of this number, and it clocks daily. How many people signed up for this application? And 5,000 people signed up. I'm not going to be making a mistake doing it myself. We've got 500,000 followers on Google+. Oh, well, I'll follow them too. It's obviously quite interesting. 97% of customers recommended it. Okay, well, maybe this is something that is a good thing. So if you can find ways of showing social proof, this is very compelling. Typically on a website, you might show customer testimonials, you might show reference cases, you might show real people. Real people being much more credible and compelling than PR people or marketing people. Authority. Does anyone know who that is? No? Okay. That is Neil Armstrong selling Chrysler. Interestingly, Buzz Aldrin also sold cars, but actually he was on a lot in LA selling cars, whereas Neil was doing advertising. We look to authority figures to make our decisions for us. And I mean, I'm not we, people in this room are going to see through that, and they're not going to fall for that sort of authority figure. But we read about, humanity reads about celebrities in newspapers. What they do, we want to do. We see people on television, what they do, we want to do. So if you can find some authority, but it doesn't have to be a person. It can also be a statement of fact, like this is the fastest processor ever, or this is the fastest business jet, or this is the most glamorous African safari, that kind of thing. If you can find somebody, maybe a magazine, to say that, or somebody to quote that, that can add credibility. We also like people who like us. So if you can show smiling, happy Apple people, that takes away an objection. Oh my God, computers are so technical, I'm never going to be able to cope with this. If you can show people, you can show likability, you're golden. Calls to action. This is where really it gets most interesting, most challenging. You have to write these little haikus to get people to take action. Here are some examples. This is from HubSpot.com. They are showing you the product, the thing you're going to get when you do it. They're telling you about it, and they're making it really, really super clear with color, with graphics, with the text. This isn't click here. This isn't saying, download, something like that. It's download the ebook now. Do it now. And they will have tested this with A/B testing to within an inch of its life. They will have done 20 different variations of that. So, my big secret, see what other people are doing, and rip it off mercilessly, right? This is the sign-up page for Basecamp. Again, start your 2-month free trial. So the anti-objection message is in there. It's a free trial. So it's 2 months. So the most obvious question that people are going to ask is, how long is it? What do I get? And, oh, well, I don't know. I don't want to put my credit card. I don't know if it's any good. Maybe I'll wait and see. No, it's a free trial. It's 2 months. So even in the text, it's telling you, and it's giving you an instruction. Start your free trial. You'll be up and running in less than a minute. There's another anti-objection message. Okay? So what they've done is they've looked at people who might be using it. They've done personas. They've done testing on this. They found that people are falling out if they put that message in about it takes a minute. If they put the message in about it being a free trial, no credit card required, they're more likely to get people. So this is what they're trying to do. Okay, testing the copy. This is a very powerful technique. Hands up if you've ever done A/B testing before. Okay, 1, 2, yeah. Cool, so I'm going to teach you something new. So you can use a thing called Google Content Experiments. It's part of Google Analytics. It's free. It's very easy to build into a website. If you have a WordPress website, you can do it with a plugin that's free. And it's literally install the plugin, put in the code from Google, go to Google, tell Google, here is page A and here is page B. I want you to send half of the visitors to this address to page A, and the other half to page B. And I will measure how many of them do this action, whatever the action is. So how many people get to the sign out page, how many people get to the put in their email address page, whatever it is that you want them to do, whatever the call to action is, I will measure it. And then Google, when I've done enough experiments, when I've tested it enough, you tell me which one made people do that action more. This is really, really useful information, right? And you can iteratively do this. And here is 2 bits of text that we ran on Turbine. Here is a 400-word version, and here is a 150-word version. And the conversion rate doubled when we went from the long one to the short one, which kind of is what I would have expected, but still I ended up writing 400 words, so I'm like a doctor who smokes. And we served these 2 variants, and I'll show you the results in Google. We served them about 200 times each. Got 5 conversions off the long text and 11 conversions off the short one. This is pretty compelling, and in fact it gives you a very nice satisfactory percentage confidence factor. Confidence is high. And it tells you which one was the winner, and that took 2 weeks to run. And you can be running multiple tests on multiple pages all the time. And if you've got access to the content management system, if you can change the text, this is a very, very easy way of finding out what works. Because you might have hunches, you might have hypotheses. This actually gives you real data. And it's not the preserve of big companies and corporations. Anybody can do this.